Hello and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Sushi. How you doing, Sushi?
I'm doing good. Are you feeling a lot better this week?
I am feeling a bit better. It's more of a hay fever's now starting to kick in, so
Yeah, it's that
wonderful.
time, right?
Yeah, so now I've got my sinuses are all clogged up and like it's annoying because it's only like one nostril. Like the other nostril's
So,
like, hey,
yeah.
and the other one's just
Are you getting the ringing in your head, that sort of really uncomfortable headache that comes in and out sometimes, or?
sometimes not very bad though. It's just kind of like,
Ah, you're lucky then.
yeah, I don't get it that badly, but I will get it where like right now, like I'm half in, half out. So, but yeah, and also my other co-host there, Greg. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's good, 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 good.
Yeah.
No hay fever.
Yeah. Nothing, health status 100%. No status ailments here.
Okay, good, 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 good. And I guess it's good because we kind of have a bit of a negative. I don't want to say.
Hey, it could be. It could be, right?
Yeah, it's basically for today's topic. Kind of wanted to go over the kind of the good cough cough and bad changes that have gone throughout the gaming industry and kind of everybody that's a part of it. So you have
Gaming
company,
culture.
the gaming culture, the companies, the people, the gamers themselves. You're gonna kind of poke a fork at it and see
A hot poker.
a hot poker and
See what comes out.
see what comes
Ooh.
out. Yes, exactly.
Hopefully no pus or blood. And
No, no, absolutely not.
Red fire.
I guess if it's a hot poker, it'll cauterize pretty fast. So.
Exactly. Tell by the smoke through a podcast that you only hear. Da da da.
And so-
Yeah. So, do either of you want to kind of start us off, or have anything you want to kind of preface the conversation with, or?
I think I'm interested in hearing this topic from you guys. I sort of know a little bit of, your background with the stuff, Taylor, but I don't know too much of Greg's opinions on things as they stand this day and age for games. So I'm really interested in hearing his thoughts. I hope we don't get too negative. I think there will be unfortunately, a lot of negative, but I
Yeah.
think as I just mentioned to you, well,
Way to
I
short
just
sell,
mentioned you,
Greg.
Taylor.
Jesus.
I hope that we can sort of put a positive spin on those negatives, though. I hope.
Well, I do have a positive one to bring up first. So,
Well, save
yeah,
that.
status.
Save the nice ones until we get really down dark and angry.
Really, I was going to start with the good stuff.
All right, fine. Start with the good stuff. Jesus.
But I
Well,
think
why
Greg,
don't you take it in turns? The good
yeah, I
and the
think
bad.
we should let Taylor take it because I know he's passed it off to us a little bit here and there. So let's let him start it out.
Okay. All right. I guess something that's. I'm not gonna start nicely. I'll just start with something that I dislike, and it really has kind of bothered me. Not only is it kind of pervasive in the genre and the games themselves, but also in the culture. But in Japanese RPGs, Japanese cultures, there is this creepy obsession with kind of this moe or this very kind of cutesy kind of nonsense.
Mm.
And moe is basically like imagine a woman and she's trying to act juvenile and almost unable to do things independently in a way.
Hmm.
Like they need to be reliant on somebody. It's kind of that kind of creepiness to it, and I don't know. It just seems to be something that comes out a lot in, especially nowadays with like just a lot of Japanese games and stuff. You always have this. I think there's always this one character that's this moe character, and you just like go away.
So no compile heart games for you.
Right,
It's funny you bring this up, and because I've been playing. I actually just completed Hyper Dimension Neptunia Mark II yesterday. So the last month, I've cleared both Neptunia games, and there is a lot of moe-ness to that game, and it's not appealing one bit. But it certainly has its fan base in mind for that game.
Mm.
But There was a lot of good things, but yeah, the mowingness is very thick in that game. And that other game that made by Compo Hard, I feel Idea Factory, I think it was Mugen Souls. Yeah, that game does not look appealing.
Yeah, it's just like anything in excessiveness is just it's annoying to me. Like I don't like when something is overly campy because it irks me, and I don't know why it is. And like, a lot of Japanese things tend to do that sometimes, where they'll do something like overtly just really stupidly or something, and you're just like, that's not, no. It's too much. I don't like it when you try to be too much into trying to do something. It's just but yeah, moe needs to go away. How about yourself there, Sushi? What do you think?
Well, I have a question for you. Now, is this something that happens in public, or do women in general in Japan, do they act like this to get men's attention? Is this something that men find appealing in Japan? Because, sorry not to cut you off yet, but this happens a lot in Korea too.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's called aegyo. And aegyo basically is acting like a child. And it gets men's attention. And they're like, oh, she needs me. Like, I feel like a man because this woman needs me to do things for her. And of course, not all men like this, but it is pretty prevalent. And a lot of women constantly make whiny sounds and, I'm cold, I'm sick. And men take notice of it. So I'm curious, like, would you say that that's something that's common?
I don't see it too horribly much in my area because it's more countryside.
Mm-hmm.
But you do see it a lot, like, for example, with how they keep their teeth, like, snaggle-toothed and kind of...
Right.
Even though they could easily fix that with braces or something, they'd rather
Mm-hmm.
have these gnarly-looking row of teeth. Or they'll purposely kind of invert their legs. So they're kind of walking clumsily, or
Yeah, like a reverse bow-leggedness,
right.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, you are ruining yourself.
It looks uncomfortable.
And it looks incredibly uncomfortable. And you're just like, why are you doing that? And I know that tooth thing is starting to become popular in the States. Stop it now, guys. Stop it now. Because, I don't... Like that whole moe thing, and like they do have those like those maid cafes, or
Right.
where they'll treat the person kind of like really cutesy or something, and they'll kind of like treat the customer kingly, so to say, and it's just like, I don't fucking understand the appeal in that at all.
But that does seem to entail sort of what I said, though.
Right.
If men do like to go there, right, and they have their ears massaged or whatever, something we perceive as being very awkward and strange, but it seems to be something that men in at least these two countries view as being kind of cool, or as you said, maybe they feel really manly or kingly, like, dependent on me, or I don't know what it is, but...
I mean, I don't blame them for the fact that, they'd like to have some cute thing touching up on them. That's kind of a normal guy thing, I would say.
But this is very extreme, too, right?
This is a bit, it's so juvenile. It's
like a juvenile fetish,
right,
almost.
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
They, especially with like some of the things in like Japanese culture, it goes way too far, and you're just like, stop this, please. Please stop this, because this is not good.
With Japan, there's so many archetypes and so many fetishes, you just couldn't count them all on the podcast. I mean, yeah. I mean, just quickly.
Part 7 of our fetish episode.
just a quick question. Familiar with anime or games? Do you know the term tsunade or tsundere?
Tsundere?
Yeah.
Well, if you want, explain it, Greg. Go ahead.
Basically, if you've watched an anime or a game, there's always that one girl who's always pissed off and just treats the character like shit, but deep down sort of harbors some sort of appreciation or some sort of affection for the character. They've also got places in Japan that cater to that sort of audience where you go in and get treated like crap by the waitresses. And apparently people pay big money for that.
That doesn't surprise me either. I mean...
it just fascinating. I watched that one video of the guy going in the cafe and just getting treated like shit. I'm just like, wow, Japan is very cerebral and well, what they like, what they don't like, in terms of stimulation and all that. I'm just like, huh, it's interesting.
It's definitely different. That is for sure. Yeah. Who wants to? Is there anything else you want to add, or you want to kind of go to the next thing there?
You can move on.
Oh,
Move on. Either of you want to take the
yeah,
reins? Okay, great.
I shall. One thing I really like, I mean, this is not something that's just current age, it's kind of gradually progressed, but one thing I do like about the current age is boutique localizers. I'm kind of really thankful for that. In the early 90s, it was just working designs mainly, and Atlas to some degree. And back then, most of the big companies sort of handled localizations and all that. But nowadays, you got companies like XC, like Atlas, and in Europe you got Rising Star and Ghostlight, and so many smaller chains that want to take on translations for games. And I think it's really nice that the more littler guys are getting more attention than they did back in the day. I think it's a positive in my opinion, especially X. They've kind of just just grown as a company.
Mm.
And the support there, this is where it can be a positive and a negative. Like the main support for these companies are there, but they're starting to get a lot of crowds that are starting to whine, because they're very impatient. Like case in point, Trails in the Sky second chapter. A lot of people are just they're growing impatient, whereas I know what it will take to release that game. So I just say to XC, take as much time as you need, find the right platform, and bring it out when you're ready. But lots of other people aren't as willing to wait as I am. And it is across the board, you get a lot of people sort of wagging games because I would definitely say, especially the Japanese community, they're more in touch of what happens in Japan than they were in the past. Like as soon as a game hits, the news in Japan, there's lots of news sites that will translate the news, and anyone across the world can be up to date with Japanese news and what games get released there. So as soon as a game gets released, there will always be this crowd of people that will basically hearken to the three main localizers and just want this game, Unfortunately, there's just too many games in Japan and not enough teams to localize everything.
Right.
So, you got to understand that not everything can be localized. That would be the dream world.
So yeah, that doesn't really affect me as much there, but I do see how it's nice that at least, some games that possibly could have never had a chance to have been localized actually now to have a chance. But I mean, I don't know, it seems still like it's very wishy-washy at times, that they'll have something but then they won't release something else outside of Japan or whatnot. It's very finicky.
I just think the negative would be that just notice that the more smaller boutiques are bringing out, bigger games, more interesting games than the big companies are, Like most of the big companies in the last year or so have just taken a massive hit, like Square Enix and, of course, Sega. But I promise you I won't go into another Sega bashing.
Sushi, what kind of thoughts do you have on that?
That kind of ties into one I have on my list here, and that is just the idea that the smaller companies can listen now as well, like Xseed or something like Axis Games or something like that. They really care about the user input, and it seems like they really do attempt as much as possible to give the fans what they want, but also they do have to pick and choose. I know something like Xseed had Half Minute Hero, but they couldn't get the second game because I think that the first one just sold so poorly that they were just like, well, there's really no reason to bring another game because nobody even bought the first one. Yeah, there's a handful of people that really want it, but generally it seems like the smaller companies have been able to keep in touch with fans easier too because of like the internet.
Absolutely, and it is really tough. Not just Half Minute Hero, but Retro Game Challenge.
Retro Game Challenge, yeah. Second one didn't come.
Yeah, Game Center CX. Yeah, that didn't come out because that sold poorly as well. I just
Mhm.
didn't think it was the right time because it was only until the last 2 years that Game Center CX sort of kind of went viral across the internet. So it was just bad timing on their part, unfortunately. But like I said, you just have to pick and choose your battles, and that's what they're basically what they're doing. As much as they want to, they want to release Trails in the Sky SC. It's just a massive game. They're taking as much time as they can. And they haven't forgotten the Falcon fans. They've been releasing East games like every year, so I think that they're doing a really good job. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really have. I don't pay enough attention to the companies themselves to really.
Yeah, I
Be
can
like,
understand, but maybe vice versa. There's got to be people in Japan that are sitting there thinking like, "Oh, I really wish game X would come from Europe or from North America to here," and they don't, right? Maybe not as many people, but there's got to be a small group of people that really do want some game, I don't know what, but
hmm.
yeah, yeah.
but
I
maybe
don't.
just it's a smaller number, right? It's such a small number compared to like, oh, there's tens of thousands of people in North America and Australia and Europe that are saying we really want this game. It makes it more viable for a company to do it. Who knows? The number could be 2 people in Japan for all I know. Like,
Yeah, I have no clue. So
sure,
I,
you never hear
I,
about it. That's the thing.
well, I've actually seen, going back to Game Center CX, they actually had an episode where they went into a Japanese import store, and it was nothing but mainly Xbox 360 games
Hmm.
from America and Europe.
in
Hmm.
Japan, not very many people.
Well, yeah.
So yeah,
Anyways, that's a whole nother ball game too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Back to me then, Kai, or over to you,
Hi.
Sushi. Did you want to do a different?
I can do just a quick one. One of the more positive ones that I've liked as well is, generally speaking, the downloadable games. I kind of like that companies can take chances on smaller projects or projects that they're concerned maybe won't make lots of money and then release them for $5, $10, sometimes 15, depending on the size of the game. But I like that it's become an outlet for lots of developers, indie developers, big time developers, doesn't really matter. They can sort of take a chance on smaller projects that otherwise would never see the light of day because it would cost too much to print discs or cartridges or whatever. So I kind of really appreciate that downloadable games are there. And I think that as time has gone on, obviously they've gotten a lot better. They're actually, some of them are really, really good now. Like, I just downloaded Journey. I haven't had a chance to play it, but it's got huge reviews. I thought Flower was an amazing downloadable game.
Mm.
There's tons of games, and it gives me a bit of a retro fix too. These companies are like, well, we want to make Contra, but we don't want to have to spend X amount of dollars on it. Let's just make it a cheap downloadable kind of game.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't mind the downloadable games either. I know a lot of people tend to go against things like that, or go against like like what the hell is it called, the Wii Shop or what WiiWare or whatever, and like the
No, well,
PSN,
I guess
and well, I mean just
I'm
in
thinking
general,
more new
new
games though, right?
things.
Not
Well,
just
I'm
like, oh,
saying
we're rehashing old
I know,
ones.
but just in general, it gives like even if it's an old game or even if it's a new game, it gives people that opportunity to where if it was something that they had to release, you'd have to actually scour around to try to find it. And usually, if it's something like, as you're saying, it's something that a company might not want to take a big chance on, they have to, make it a limited press. And when they put all those out there, and then some, asshat's going to buy up like 30 of them
85 of
and then
them.
be like, hey, I have this game, but now it's $600. Fuck you. And
Yeah.
Mm.
it completely disregards that asshole and his devious plans of trying to basically gouge and scalp people out of their money, which is
Mm.
Right.
a fucking travesty. So,
Mm.
but no, I personally like that too. I like the downloading aspect of it. I don't do it so much for newer games, but games that maybe I can't find, or I don't want to, if it costs a lot and I don't want to make that investment for it. For example, there's a PS1 shooter, well, not like a shooting game, like a words escape me, but it's not like bang bang shooter, but like in ship.
Yeah, like shoot 'em up.
Yeah, shoot 'em up. There we go. That's called like Xanac X or Cross Xanac or something like that. And the fucking disc for the PlayStation 1 version is like $120, but I could just download the game for $6. I
Right.
think.
Like Radiant Silvergun, sort of the same
Right.
train of thought there.
Yeah. So I'm much more in favor of that sort of thing as being able to download it. I'm not that hell-bent to be like, I have to have this in some sort of physical form so I can rub my penis all over. So,
that goes over to Greg.
yeah. And speaking about penis rubbing, Greg.
What's that?
No.
No, it's funny that Taylor brings up because we've been talking about it lately with the whole thought about collecting, and I've basically been talking about getting to people's head that space is not infinite. You will eventually run out of space. And what are you going to do then? And I basically, for anyone in my situation where I don't have a full room yet, it's good to kind of think about it now and realize what I want in my collection, what would be nice, and what I could just have as a downloadable title. I actually think it's fantastic. You've got these different services, the Xbox Live, the Virtual Console, and you've got PlayStation Network, and you can have your pick from generations back now at your fingertips. It's fantastic, I'm not in this mentality that I have to own a hard copy of everything that I fucking come across or anything I played growing up because, chances are it's hard to get or just plain can't afford it,
Especially for your situation.
It's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though, you talk about stuff like Radiant Silvergun. Remember Rondo of Blood? That went for tons of money back in the day, and then as soon as they released the PSP version and on the WiiWare, that kind of fluctuated down. So it's interesting.
Some of them do that, right? Yeah, some of them definitely do.
But
I don't think Radiant Silvergun went down, though. I think that one still commands like $200, $300.
Well, just very quickly, not that we do like gaming news, but here's something that could come down on prices. Something that's really expensive on the Sega Saturn is the Dungeons and Dragons collection, which is the set of 2 games that Capcom made in the arcades, which is apparently going to be re-released on PSN and Xbox Live coming this year. So that's pretty damn sweet.
It's pretty awesome, actually.
Really sweet, because I've been meaning to finish that game because it's one of those I have unfinished business games because I played it once at the arcade, never got a chance to play it again. So, and I don't use main players, so it's like, oh, this is sweet. But that collection for the CSAN goes for some pretty.
Oh yeah, I've had a chance to buy that in walk-in store, and I was just like, yeah, I want it, and it was going for. This was in Taiwan. Well, this was going in Taiwan, so it was around. Probably the guy wanted, I think, 10,000 NT, which is over $300. I'm pretty sure he was asking 10,000. This guy's got a retro shop. He sells most of his stuff cheap, but he had like a Saturn display. He had Radiant Silvergun in there. He wanted a just ripped to shit copy, like, CD was scratched to hell. He was like 7,000, so you're looking at probably $240 or something or whatever. Yeah. So, he wanted that. He had like a mint copy of it. He had like everything. And Metal Slug. He had the Final Fight game that came out on Saturn. He had Street Fighter Alpha 3 on Saturn. He had like everything you could think of. And it's like, this is amazing to see this stuff, but no one's going to walk in here and buy this stuff ever. I mean, maybe that's partly why he puts the prices there, right? Just to be like, I have it, not necessarily to sell it. I don't know what his mentality is, but anyways.
I've actually entered one of the stores where they jack up like PSP imports just because they want to play on typical customers saying, oh, they have not seen these before, and they jack them up like 3 times the price, and I'm just like, good God. But
not for sale. That's all you got to do. Not for sale.
But getting into my next one, that's kind of a negative, and it's something that was very prominent in the early age of gaming that's starting to resurface in some companies, and I'm like the biggest advocate against it, and that's region locking.
Yeah.
I can say this now without a doubt. Whenever something's region locked, I lose my cool. I don't become a happy person. That's why when Nintendo announced the 3DS and they said it was region locked, I had a very nice choice of words that came out of my mouth.
I'm sure they
Because
weren't nice.
because coming from Australia, in the early days, it's just you basically get what you're given, and especially for the Super Nintendo, if you're an RPG fan, you didn't get much. I was very thankful for what I got. But then
Yeah.
there was gaming magazines that would show stuff like, they'd make a hoo-ha about Final Fantasy 6, which is Final Fantasy 3, this coming out, and, we didn't get them. I will say this now, we're very thankful for Nintendo bringing us Terradigma. That was probably one instances where the tables were turned.
Well, because Australia was in the game, so they had to.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a food for thought on that one. I
Yeah.
don't know. Region locking, I don't like it either. I think it's kind of silly. Yeah, if somebody wants to buy a different country's product and they want to use it and they have the means to be able to use it, then I don't see why it should have to. I don't know. It's just really dumb.
Yeah. Well,
It's just
pretty
especially for Nintendo in this instance, because the reasoning behind it is really dumb. It's like, well, we want to combat piracy. And I'm
piracy,
like,
right?
they're gonna find a way around it.
eventually, right?
It's-
Sure.
Eventually, and then the only people that still get screwed is the consumer, the RPG consumer. Most hardcore RPG fans like myself, we import. I mean, that's why we love Sony's handhelds, because to the opposite of the 3DS, when I was sweating buckets around the announcement of the Vita, I was sweating buckets, please don't do what Nintendo's going to do, please, please. And then it wasn't like the first bit of news, it was like months and months down the track when someone finally came out and said, the Vita's region free, and I did a little victory dance. I was like, oh yeah. And basically, it's PSP round 2, and I loved the PSP generation. I imported lots of great RPGs well before they had an official European release. Like, here's an example. Persona 4 The Golden was released around the end of 2012, and it was only this week, last Friday, that we got the official Australian copy. So I was like, yeah, I got the best out of that deal. But this is probably the negative example of region locking, and this also sort of harkens to the negative stuff side of boutique agencies. While most of them in the world do really good work, there's one that I have a big gripe with, and it's called Zen United. And they basically been hired by Index Corp, or the company that owns Atlas, to release Persona 4 The Arena to the PAL regions. I'm going to say this now. Their treatment of the consumer base is without a doubt some of the worst I've ever seen in my years. Like, they do not respond to fans. They've even gone as far as to delete negative comments towards them. And they have not...
How dare you speak my name in vain?
And basically, a game that was released last year around August, September, it's not going to be released until May. And I'm like, that's far too long. That is far too long for a game this generation, because that's going back to the dark days of the 16-bit and 32-bit era.
The dark days.
The dark days of the 90s, when it took 2 years from its original Japanese release to get it released into Australia and the PAL region.
Yeah. When a mini swagman looked at the release dates for Australian games and there were only 8.
His heart broke. Sorry.
And his mouth was sour.
Yeah. His mouth became parched.
And his lips in a snarl.
But yeah, so because most games nowadays, they only like a week or two. They're really good, because it's just like, I've just noticed that most games take a week or two to come to Australia, and I don't mind that at all. Fantastic. But to have a game like that, because they want to tweak the online, it's like, well, what can you do, And there are so many people that pre-ordered that game, and basically their money is sitting with whoever they pre-ordered for now 8 months. That's not good, Yeah. So that kind of puts a bit of taste in my mouth. That's what region locking does, and that's what they said with the PS3. As much as it's region free, the Sony basically went out of the way to say you can region lock if you choose to. And I think Atlas learnt the hard way when they had some of the, I'd say, the biggest inundate of bad comments that the company's ever had. You know, as soon as that went viral, I remember I was there in the thick of it. And it was funny because it only took them a day to respond. So,
See,
Damn region locking.
region locking, yeah.
so yeah, region locking, totally against it. Hopefully Sony kind of holds the flag for the international gamer and promotes the international gaming community and supports, region free.
And they really should at this point. You know, the world has become a big place and lots of people travel and move around and don't live in their home countries. And it's just stupid, especially handhelds. That is the stupidest thing you could possibly think of.
I don't know, maybe there's some sort of financial thing that we don't quite see.
There probably is something we don't know about, but
it is stupid.
it just seems illogical in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
right?
And I mean, if Sony were to, kind of step up the ball and keep things going with non-region locking, it would be quite a wonderful thing. And hopefully they'll kind of promote that a bit more to the fact that they, have this as, region free, don't care kind of thing.
Well,
Let's keep those, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Some of them have taken strides. Like, the thing is with the PS3, you can play any region, but it depends on your account, which is my biggest gripe. And as much as I know how to get around it, with the Aussies and the Europeans in mind, there is some companies that basically fund to put NTSC games on it, like Arc the Lad. Arc the Lad was never released in Australia. However, it is available on the Australian European PSN. And it does have a little American flag to say, hey, this comes from America, but they've programmed it, that'll work on Australian accounts. So it's really cool that some of the small guys do that. But I just wish fucking Square Enix would not stop hoarding those games, because those games like Xenogears and Chrono Cross was the games that were given high scores in the American magazines, and all the Australian gamers desired them and never came out back in the day. And as much as it's not a problem for me, but it still is for a lot of others. So.
Okay. I'm gonna.
One more point on that. Let's get those voltages all fixed up too. Oh God, I can't stand that. Like, you can't even take your 3DS anywhere. And it's like, yeah, it'll blow a fuse because it's meant for 110 volts only, or like, that is just garbage as well.
Just very quickly to all the wonderful gentlemen in here, have you blown a gaming device?
No.
Thankfully not.
I've blown up a PS3. Not PS3, PS2. That was because of my lust.
There's only 100 million zillion of those in the world, so you can get another.
Take a guess which game I really wanted to play.
I know which one it was, if I remember correctly.
What was it?
Dora the Explorer.
Yes!
It should have been like Second and 3, if I recall.
It was. I was so psyched when I finally got my copy of Suikoden 3 that I popped it in and learned the harsh truth of voltage. But I think it's been an incentive of mine for the last 3 years, and I've never gotten around to buying one. But I need to buy one if I want to get into import retro gaming, like so I can get a PC engine, so I can get a Japanese PS2 or PS1. It's just one of those things that are necessary.
Yeah, we'll get a big transformer, you'll be fine. But it's just it's really annoying that devices, particularly, handheld devices, that you can't change the voltage on. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
But let's give it back to Taylor. That's way too much information.
Yeah.
Let's see here. One thing that I did write here, and that everybody, even though it's a little bit of offset of something earlier, is good old DLC.
Stop there.
Yeah, on one hand, I don't see an issue with some of it. I could kind of be like, okay, I can see the existence of some of it, particularly if it's something that's been out for a while, and then they're like, hey, we have this new kind of update for it. Cool, whatever, that works. However, when it's specifically like day one bullshit, where it's like, here's DLC day one, pay an extra $5-10 for this extra
Bucks, yeah.
stuff that totally was on there, but we decided to try to gouge you more. That irks the hell out of me. I really don't like the day one thing, because that tells me that basically Company A is trying to shove something out the door, and then they thought of this thing kind of towards the end, and they're like, shit, we can't quite do everything, or they already have it on there and they just want to.
They have it in mind. I think they do it on purpose, right? They're like, oh, halfway through development, like, well, why don't we just have this as downloadable content day one? Like,
or what, just something. And day one, even within like the first week, unless it's some sort
bullshit.
Of installation update to like fix some sort of glitch that's going on. There should.
Which shouldn't happen in the first place.
Right, if they had tested their stuff. But,
right.
I mean, the glitches, they can happen. I understand that, whatever. That
Sure.
can happen. However, I don't know. If it's going to be DLC content-wise, shit should not be within, like, the first month, I would say. I mean, that really?
Or,
But
yeah.
that costume changes. I think that shit's just insane that people are like, yes, I need to buy the swimsuit versions of all my characters.
Right.
It depends on the game if it's in context. Like there is certain games like Dead or Alive, you expect that. But if we've already talked about this, when they put swimsuit DLC for Fire Emblem Awakening, I'm like, what the fuck? If there's one game that does not benefit, it's Fire Emblem.
It does benefit because it attracts some people to that. It just takes away from the spirit of the game, I think. But like, a lot of Tales games do that as well. They have those DLC costume packs and stuff, and you're just like,
it's like, oh, what's a good reference? I wouldn't say Agatha Christie novel and there's just some random girl with a swimsuit. That's not a good way to compare Fire Emblem, but you know what I'm getting at. It just doesn't match.
Yeah, it'd be like what's that one movie that that Sean Connery's in, that he's like this future guy? Like it's futuristic, and he's wearing that red.
Zardoz.
So it'd be basically like him in his Zardoz costume playing First Night or whatever the hell when he was supposed to be King Arthur.
All right.
King Arthur in a Zardoz costume.
Yeah,
well, that'd be awesome. I'd watch
that's
that.
Stupid. That's dumb.
That's
different. That's Sean Connery. That's awesome. Do you guys know the first line of that movie where it's like, the gun is good, the penis is evil? That is seriously like the first line of the movie. It's like this giant rock with a face that's talking.
Jesus. Okay.
You know what else is actually really annoying about DLC too, though, is when it's retail specific, when they're like, only a GameStop can you get, this for free. And it's like, get out of here. Like, I don't even live anywhere close to a GameStop.
Like, and usually, isn't it?
And it's usually something significant. They're like, well, you get an extra hour worth of gameplay. Like, you can tour this part of the game or something. And it's like, that is absolute bullshit that I can't even get that. That is really ridiculous and annoying.
It is annoying if you're a collector because people will want to get as much for their collections from merit. Oh, this got released with different content in 7 different stores. I must have 7 things. That's a pain in the ass.
But not only that, it just feels like you're screwing the customers, right? Like they're obviously those companies want that because they're like, well, they'll come in our store and pre-order and blah blah blah. But it's just really really frustrating. Like
they're monopolizing it. God damn it.
I just don't have a chance to even get that at all. I have zero chance of getting that. It's really really dumb. I hate DLC in all of its forms. I'm sorry. I don't believe in it at all. I don't care if it's a year later when they release something. I just feel like it's just a rip-off to the customers.
What if it's free DLC?
Free DLC is one thing, though, right? That's different. If you're charging anything, it's bullshit. It's just, I don't believe it. I just really don't like it. I really get mad by that. I know that they have it in mind, and they're just like, well, we can make a few bucks more down the line, instead of just making the full game, as companies used to do. And it's just, let's make more and more money. I hate it.
I will say this now. I will give a great example of DLC that was nowhere near the price. And it was Castlevania Lords of Shadows. It has 2 packs. And I downloaded both of them because I was really enjoying Lords of Shadows. And the combined, it cost me like $30 Australian.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Nowhere near that price. I can say this now. It was over before you can... The first one, Riviere, over before you can say bingo.
Bingo.
It's just like, and the dingo into the, it pandered to some fans because they didn't use 3D artwork. They got the same guy, I think it was Ashley Wood, to do the like he did sort of like the psychedelic sort of artwork for Metal Gear Portable Ops and Metal Gear Peace Walker, and they got him to do the DLC, so they try to cut costs. And it was to tell a significant part of Gabriel's character,
Right.
but I seriously thought for $30, which essentially was probably nearly close to half price of the full game, outrageous.
Yeah.
Just
That's very
outrageous.
ridiculous.
Horse armor, Oblivion. That was like the first big one that people got mad about, and people bought it. It was just stupid. Horse armor, and people were like $2. And then the next thing you know, they buy it, and it's
Well, that's
oh
what
man.
that's why I don't have an issue with the companies that do it. If the people are willing to buy it, then of course the company's going to take advantage of it.
They know people will buy it. They
Right.
know that people will buy it, and that's what makes me mad.
It's taking advantage.
It should be free. It should be free.
I
Show
hate
some
the
support for the people.
I hate the DLC that is basically just being unlocked, how it's on the disc. You're just basically going online to unlock it. That infuriates me. And you can tell when it's like 48 kilobytes remaining. And I'm like, wow, you've got to be shitting me.
I haven't seen it as much, but the ones that always kind of made me laugh were the kind of the promotional things, like you can see a Dr. Pepper can, or those kind of things. I think those were funny. I want to see more Doritos in my Oblivion games.
Well, it's mainly Japan that does the product placing, and they do it in like the RPGs. Like I was blown away when I saw that you can have a costume as Colonel Sanders and Fancy Star online
Oh,
too.
that's right.
And I basically said to myself, if I said to myself when I was a little kid playing Fancy Star 1 that Colonel Sanders would be in it, I'd be saying you'd be it's one fry short of a medium pack, just, oh my God. I mean, I think I was eating KFC and playing Fancy Star, but I would never put the two together. Just the product placement is so zany in Japan. It's awesome. Like, with Metal Gear Solid.
As I would say, especially with Metal Gear Solid, holy crap, like they go pretty out. And that's cool. That's what got me into trying Calorie Mate.
Yeah.
Yum.
Yakuza Ryuga Gotoku. Oh shit, the product placement in that game is huge.
Quite a bit, yeah.
You go into a bar, all the drinks are real.
All real liquors, but I mean they've got not all, but lots of real shops and stuff too. I think that product placement's a little different for me though.
Right.
They're
As
going
opposed
for
to the DLC Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
can.
Or even like, the sports games that have, like Sprite, like plastered across the back and stuff. Yakuza one's a little bit different. It's really trying to build the atmosphere of the game, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, and here's a bottle of Absolute. It's like, well, no, you can go to the bar and buy a shot of Absolute.
Yeah. And it's
I
funny.
think it's done differently.
And it's funny because I was talking to Taylor about Boss Coffee, and that's actually where the first time I actually saw Boss Coffee is in Yakuza, because you can buy that in the store. And it was really good because in one part of the game you would have to drink, and that was one of the surefire ways to sober you up. Can of Boss Coffee.
Hang out in Don
like
Quixote all day long. Plays the damn music from the shop even. Like it's the same jingle.
Is it sad because I'm a big fan of Yakuza when I go to Japan that I want to find a Don Quixote?
Well, they're interesting stores. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of crap in them.
Oh yeah, and it's wall to wall.
Wall to wall, story to story.
Taylor and I had a pretty good time that one we went to. We were looking at all those goofy T-shirts, and we saw some obscene cards and
some good old nudity to them.
Yeah, some pretty funny stuff in there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh man, but yeah, I guess Sushi out of the realm of DLC too.
Well, I'm gonna mesh a couple of positive ones here, and this is to do with the online aspect. Now, obviously there's positive and good here. I'd like to keep the positive part first, though, and that is I like that a lot of my friends I can't keep really close contact. especially when it comes to, their gaming tastes and stuff now, right? You don't send an email to somebody like, what are you playing now? Like, you just don't. So sometimes, I see my friends online or something, and I'll just click on them and see what are they playing, what have they been playing. And I just like doing that. I like that sort of, obviously I'm not playing against them and stuff, but I really enjoy the fact that I can just see a little bit of how they're spending their time when they play games. I think it's kind of neat that you can track what their habits sort of are of playing games and stuff. I like that.
I actually think that's the most positive way to go about it, and there's a lot of people that sort of abuse the trophy system as a dick waggling contest, which it's not meant to be.
No.
Hey, I personally like the trophy thing, and that was actually
like
something
too.
I had wrote down. Trophy and achievements, I do not mind that. It is not what they're there for. Is not what has kind of where some people kind of go hunting for it and where they want to use it as a dick wagging thing. I don't associate with those people. So I mean, if they want to go about doing that more
10 million achievement points.
Yeah, whatever. If they want to do that. Like, for example, I added somebody onto my Vita, and on the Vita they have this random installed game called Welcome Park or some shit. So it's just like try out all the little touchpad stuff for the Vita, and of course it had little trophies to it too. And I was just kind of like curious what other games this guy's been playing and stuff. And he had 100%ed the Welcome Park thing, and then I was looking at mine, and like I only had 10%, and I was like, well, fuck me. I'm not gonna be beaten by this asshole. I'm gonna be, it adds a little bit of competitiveness.
It does,
and it allows you to kind of revisit a game if you had played it for a while or something, and then put it down, and then you see, oh man, that asshole's beating me.
I think it stems to the fact that I appreciate the old times where people had to take your word for it.
People lie out their ass.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I never
crusty old VHS tape of.
I think one of my friends did lie to me about a game, and I basically sat him down and says, "What do you benefit about lying about beating a video game?" Nothing.
Being awesome.
Being cool on the
Nothing. Being awesome in the schoolyard. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just I was one of those guys, and people assumed that I always beat it because I come over my house and just look at my memory card and just go, "Oh shit, you have beaten that game." So that it's good and bad. I kind of like the old days where you had to take people's word for it, and if you trust them enough,
You can't trust people.
That's true. Yeah, I like trophies because, as you said, Taylor, not necessarily that it helps me revisit games a lot, but I use them as like my personal challenge sometimes, right? Like, can you do this task? And I'm like, I love that. I love that.
It's hidden. That's the one thing I don't like is when it's like a hidden trophy.
Some of them hidden ones are fine. Some of them are horrible.
It's something really stupid half the time, like,
Usually.
flip this pancake across the street.
Oh,
what the fuck? There wasn't any pancakes in this game.
I actually have my main reason now. The reason why I sort of don't like trophies is not so much a dick waggling contest, but I don't 100% anything when I play my PS3 games. I basically go for the ending, and that's how I always done. And if you actually see my trophy list, you'll probably see a lot of ending trophies. But the people that say, "Well, you didn't really finish it if you didn't get everything,"
well, that's you just don't associate.
Yeah, I know.
You don't talk about it. You're just like, whatever, dude. If that's how you feel about it, that's how you feel. I don't. I'm in the same boat with you. I don't generally tend to be like, oh my god, I have to do everything. And it's very rare that I'm like hell-bent on doing everything. Look at fucking East Salsetta. Like, I beat it. I did a lot of things in it, but I'm not going to be like, oh shit, I need to get 1 million gold, or I need to like find every inch of this map, which is a pain in the ass, or something like that.
I'm very happy with my achievement in Persona 4 because I've already been in on the PS2, but there's trophies in the Vita version. It said I got about 56%. I'm like, well, that's pretty good, And it says that I beat the game and beat the true ending, so I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna, one of them is spend, I think, use 5 personas in the battle. I never think to do that because I'm playing the game properly. I don't need to basically trade personas 5 times, If you have to do that, then you're doing something wrong.
No, you're not. You're actually beating the game in its fullest.
That's people playing a game differently.
That's just people
If
they
want to go about it that way, because you could totally, maybe they're doing that. There's some sort of benefits. I have no idea. I've never played Persona. So,
Greg, I will say the Yakuza trophies are fun though. I like doing a lot of those. They're hard, but I like doing them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I only get to about 40%, but a
Yeah, I
lot of
think I did 50 or something on 3 or something, and I was like, that's pretty good because some of them are just ridiculously long.
What are,
It's not
the
worth it.
the
examples?
Kamurocho Iron Man take 1 million steps or something. I'm just like, jeez. And there's
And I mean,
also,
that could happen depending how long you're playing it, right? You're
yeah,
not obviously counting every step you're taking. So
yeah.
I am.
It's
you
just
could
mainly
be.
just there. One of them is in Yakuza 4 is with Detective Tanimura. You need to get 1 million, I think, credit at the casino, which is
Yeah, I don't even
it's,
do those ones. It's just like,
you have to basically just live there, yeah, and gamble your ass away. So
yeah, that's a good example of one, Taylor. There's other ones where it's like, bowl a turkey, you get a turkey
Right.
bowl, get 3 bullseyes, and generally I actually got those. I mean, just I might have spent like 30 minutes doing some of them, or maybe a bit longer. But again, it's just not to prove anything to anyone. It's just kind of be like, oh, can I do this? Like, can you actually do this in the game? And obviously you can. They wouldn't have a trophy there if you couldn't. But it's just I like the challenge of that. It's just what it is. So,
That's
anyways,
it.
I want
Yeah,
to get off
'cause
that
yeah.
it's,
trophy.
Fair.
It's just
Well, you were talking about online gaming with a good and bad side.
well, the bad is obviously just the attitudes online, right? Like,
mm,
I mean, there's some games like Earth Defense Force where you just get in there. No one's really against each other because you're just fighting tons of bugs coming at you, right? You're fighting aliens, and that's all it is. Those kind of games I will always love and like, and I think that those are the best kind of online games. But when you start getting into things like League of Legends, where people are spewing, venomous words
yeah,
across the internet, or Call of Duty, I don't play them, but I've seen videos of people talking and stuff, and it's just stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah, you can turn off your headset or whatever, but it just demotes the game so much. It makes
yeah.
it such a terrible place to be. You don't want to be playing games like that. And I don't know anyone who does, but I guess there are people that like that punishment, but I just don't see the value in it. And I don't like younger, and I'm not saying it's only younger kids, but sometimes it is younger kids going on there and they're, saying cuss words and stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, you're tough, you're 12, or even when it's a 30-year-old guy, it's just like, you're not proving nothing by playing a video game. You're really not. It's
No.
just, it should be fun.
Like hell, I ain't
It's not fun.
prestige 30 times. You asshole.
Yeah, well, I don't find that fun. I really don't.
I think the best way to say it, I've always said this, if I ever played something, well, you and I used to play something online, I paid $50 for this damn game, and it didn't include you being an asshole. That's the way I looked at it. Being an RPG fan, I've tried so many times to play online RPGs, and I've never been able to play anything for more than 2 weeks. My
Hmm.
last ditch effort was playing Warhammer Online, and I loved the scenery, and I loved the world, and I loved the characters, and I was associated with all the source material. So great. And then as soon as I played with people, I don't know. They they
Just,
they, ex they expect you to know everything as soon as you hit the keypad, because they've been
yeah.
playing a while. And, you didn't do this when we were supposed to do that. It's just like, dude, have fun. It's a game. That's what it's there for.
No.
And they do. They just take it so seriously. And it's that guild mentality that ruins it. Like the premise for a guild is really good, but once you get into strategy and starting to basically chastise people for it, it's like going to friggin' work. People play games to get away from that atmosphere. They don't want to be chastised by their manager or their boss. They want to go into a realm where they have control, they have enjoyment, and you go into those online games and it's the same sort of pecking order. It's ludicrous. It really is.
I tried playing an online game for a little bit. I think it was like Ragnarok Online,
Yeah.
and it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't really. They weren't hell bent on doing this or that. Or, if you couldn't do something, it wasn't like, oh my god, the end of the world. They're actually pretty nice in the server that I was on. Uh, However, like a lot of that stuff is just absolutely way too intense. My friend plays League of Legends, and he tells me about some of the vitriol that gets spewed from time to time. Actually, from all the time that he plays.
All
it.
the time, yeah, I've heard.
Mm.
And it's just like it's really, I don't get why people get so hell bent on trying to
Perfection.
berate somebody or belittle somebody just because they aren't to the same quote unquote caliber as they are playing or something. It's really sad is what it is. It's rather
It is. I hear about all the crap that gets spewed out by League of Legends. I said to myself, it sounds like the online world comparison to Magic the Gathering. Because I played Magic the Gathering when I was a kid, and Jesus Christ, they are hardcore. And if you didn't do this, oh man, just
yeah, that's like a whole like societal thing that yeah, that's a dark alley to walk down because you could just kind of pin it at these people weren't successful at doing this, so when they make their own thing and they are successful at that, they turn to they basically turn into the assholes that they ran away from. So
Right.
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, that's
Get off of that train again. These trains are getting pretty long out of the station, most of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Greg, I think it's your go there.
I think it's because I'm a conductor on every one of them. Alrighty, and I'm kind of now just fishing out of the barrel of my mind because you kind of covered everything, culture from importing internet to internet behavior. Because I was going to talk about internet behavior, and it doesn't just stem to games; it also stems into the forums and YouTube comments. I'll expand on that. I've been surfing a lot of gaming forums for a very long time, and just here's another guessing game. It's really fun. Can you guess some of the most weirdest kind of, I would say, elitist gaming community that you can imagine? And it's for a Super Nintendo game.
Elitist Super Nintendo. It's obviously Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
I know, Earthbound.
Mystic Quest. Taylor nearly got it right.
It's probably the Final Fantasy 6.
Oh man,
Is it? I thought maybe Earthbound.
I don't think the Earthbound people seem as dickish about it though.
I don't know.
They kind of, I wouldn't say Earthbound are dickish about it, but Earthbound is their world. But I don't think the people at Starman.net are kind of, vitriol, but they seem really passionate, would be the word to describe passionate about that game, as most people are, But Final Fantasy 6 fans, holy shit. It's like, what's your favorite Final Fantasy 6 game? It's 7. No, the answer is 6, moron. And I'm seriously like, what? Did I play the same game? Because don't get me wrong, 6 is a great game, but it's
look at Greg backpedaling.
Okay. 6.
You hear the door close behind him?
6 is a great RPG, but it is not like the be all to end all. If it's on my top 10 list, it's probably number 10. There's so many other great Super Nintendo games I enjoyed a lot more. But just meaning people just like hold it on this holy pedestal. It's like, why? Is it because it's a game of that time? Because, there's other games that came out around about that time I thought was a lot better than Final Fantasy 6, but I don't know what's wrong. They're channeling Kafka or something, just batshit insane. And just like, if you don't like 6, you're going to be kicked on, peed on. And it's not just Final Fantasy 6, it's a lot of communities, and it's funny. With our segment last week, as you may have heard, the so-called console was ended. Actually, in actual reality, it hasn't. It's kind of taken a different road. It's not sort of as vocal as it did between the magazines. Well, they kind of had fun with it, the whole SNES versus the Mega Drive, the Genesis. They sort of poked fun at that, whereas they don't really poke fun at the whole PS3 versus 360. It's become quite childish, and any little thing they'll defend, like this version of Assassin's Creed 3 has an hour, this version of Assassin's Creed 3 has better online, rah, 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 rah. It's just the most petty reasons they'll go against each other, and, oh, man.
This character's face has 5 more polygons than on the Xbox 360, and like...
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's actually another thing that I wrote down, is that the opinions of a lot of, not everybody of course, but a lot of people seems to be this: if it doesn't mirror my opinion of X game, then you can fuck off. Your opinion is wrong, and it is now worth my time to berate it as being wrong. And I don't quite get that. Like, I actually just got a comment from somebody on one of my videos about the Xenoblade and last story, and the comment, I was actually half surprised and kind of like, because he said, "This man has no taste in games." And I was like, well, that's a step up. He called me a man at least, but like,
This boy.
yeah, this boy.
Boy.
But it's just like, I don't. If you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. You're not going to agree with a lot of things. It's. I don't expect people to agree with everything that I say about. Well, hell, I don't expect people to agree with me with anything. If you disagree with it, that's much better than just agreeing with everything that I say. You don't need another one of me running around. It's just asinine to think that. Well, for example, like Earthbound, I do not like that game. I do not like that game at all. And sometimes, especially with people who really like the game, always give that. And it's true with like other games. Earthbound was the first thing that kind of popped to mind. But if you say you don't like this game, and somebody who does like it, they start to get into this kind of defense mode. They have to defend it like they're fucking carrying the banner of the game or something. And, you've insulted the holy mother of X, and it's just kind of like, it doesn't work for me.
Right.
I think we can all say we've been there in some capacity with series we're very passionate about, and you're wondering this change, this change and this change is like, oh my god, because being a part of the Suikoden community, they weren't very happy about tier crease. Let's just put it that way. But being the gamer I've become, I can basically take things out of context and like enjoy them for what they provide. Because as soon as I think I commented back then, I take my Suikoden fan cap off and I put my RPG cap on, and then I appreciate the game for being a good RPG. It's not a good Suikoden game, but it's a great DS RPG. You just have to learn that as a gamer. You just learn that as you go along. You'll have those rough patches. When you're teenage years. Like I was such a little bastard when I was a teenager with RPGs. I played nothing but RPGs in the PlayStation era. That's just a fact. And it was only like a game like Metal Gear Solid that really surprised me. And it's like, oh my god, this showed that, games other than RPGs can have good stories. But before that, oh man, I would not play anything but RPGs. And you grow out of that. I grew out of that in the PS2 era. I started to play more different genres and just enjoyed everything as a whole, But you have to find that out for yourself. That's the main thing. And that's a part of the interest about being a gamer. You will find your tastes, you will find your ticks,
Indeed. Sushi, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, all I've got listed here under hate is just no quarter on opinions. No one gives any quarter on anyone's opinion. It's just, as you said, you guys already covered, I'm going to slash you down. Your opinion is trash. It means nothing. It's below me. I'm smarter than you.
But if you agree with me.
It's so weird, though. If you go online, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other sort of media forums. Like if you go to a comic book forum, if you go to a movie forum, everything is not always, but things are generally a lot more positive. But when it comes to video games, people are idiots. It's just, that's what it is. People just get super defensive about everything. When it comes to a movie, it's just like, I don't know, maybe because you don't invest as much in the movie. It's 2 hours of your time, right? So people are like, I really like the cinematography, but I didn't like this. And people are like, yeah, I can see that, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about video games that people just go crazy. And I'm just getting to the point where I can't even stand it. I don't even like talking to most people about games anymore because they can't have a logical conversation about it.
And I think music would probably stem.
Music might be up there in sort of, like a negative realm a bit too. But music is also a bit weird just because it is extremely broad, right?
Right, but it's also very personal.
It is, but it's so much broader than games in a lot of ways, right? Mm-hmm. There's music from so many places around the world. Like it's really hard to argue music in a sense. People like to, but it's really hard to. You know, one guy who likes this band from some place in Central Africa versus this guy who's like, yeah, but they're not as good as Tool or something. It's like, they're not exactly alike.
Apples and oranges there.
Sure, but people still argue it. They're like, well, people are like, you don't have any musical taste because you don't like this band. And it's like,
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah. And I think it stems from being more personally involved in it because, with music, it could be you're incredibly depressed and you listen to this and it cheered you up or something. And with games, you're, incredibly lonely or something, and it just helped kind of kind of get you through, and that's
Yeah,
where.
I don't know enough because I don't really listen to music really. So, but I've heard of people
Yeah.
like doing. But in the same sense, I think people are really accepting of musical things and maybe a lot more in a way too, in a sense, because it is a lot broader. People are like, well, I don't even know that band, so maybe I'll check it out. But when it comes to games, people are like, I don't know that game, and I'm not going to play it because it's from Japan, or I'm not going to play a game because it's a puzzle game. People just say, nope, not doing it. They just drop it and say, nope, it must suck because it's not something that I normally play.
And as I was a part of that, growing up. But as soon as that PS2 era hit, I was open to a lot of things. Like, I never thought I'd play a first-person shooter game ever, and there was a few I played in the PS2 era, like Time Splitters and Medal of Honor Frontline, that I really enjoyed. Just really shocked. But just if you're open to it, But if it's one of those genres that that you don't play enough of, because of course you don't have enough time and money to play every game, so you got to pick and choose wisely. But sometimes, like I did last year, I had to take a break from RPGs, and I played everything else but most RPGs, and I had a good time, playing different things. Like, I never really played many shmups, but I played Sylphied, and I didn't mind that, so... Yeah, and you just you gotta respect other people's opinions, and you never know. They may hate, the game you like and vice versa, but down the track, they may love a game that you love too. So don't sell, what you can have great dialogue with a person just based on one game. You may talk about 10 games you love, and there may be that one that you don't like. You just have to acknowledge it and move on. I actually find it interesting when some people dislike a game I love. I actually find it interesting. It's just one of those things. It's just like, oh, sweet, there's someone that doesn't like it. I gotta know why.
Exactly. As long as they express why they dislike it instead of just, oh, it's just garbage. That completely kills any sort of dialogue. Have some sort of reason. There's at least something, some sort of tick to it that bugs the hell out of you for one reason or another.
An ongoing joke that I have between some friends of mine, including Taylor, is I'm not really I'm not fond of Tales of Fantasia, and I don't usually just say, oh, it's gay. I actually said that I'm not a big fan of the characters, and that's my main thing. And there is a lot to like about Tales of Fantasia, but it's mainly the characters and the battle theme. And it's not just the GBA version, even though that's one of the main versions I've played. But I've also played the Super Nintendo version, but I don't know, the characters just don't resonate with me, and that's the truth of the matter. But that's me.
Breaking news! Hello, I'm Hook-Handed, and this is some breaking news for you.
And I'm Bill Ding.
Welcome to our news update. We have just been informed of this very spectacular news, and I'd like to inform everyone out there that Adol Christian has gone blonde. Once again, Adol Christian has gone blonde.
And for this breaking news, we have with us the local blacksmith, Blackie. How you doing, Blackie?
I'm doing fine. Ting, ting, ting.
So, Adol seems to be a regular customer to you. What are your thoughts of him going blonde?
Well, it's kind of daft, laddie. I mean, he's called Adol the Red for a reason. You don't see many redheads where I come from. I mean, it just takes away from everything he's done. I mean, Adol the Blonde doesn't have the same ring to it.
Now, Blackie, it sounds like you actually come from a place where there's a lot of ginger, so I'm quite surprised to hear that. Has Adol actually had all of his hair go blonde, besides the ones on his head?
Ah, laddie, well, I hear he gets around with the ladies, and, I heard through the grapevine that I think all his necessary parts are covered in the sweet brands of crimson still, but why would I care for that, It's none of my business.
Now, Blackie, if he went strawberry blonde, would that be quite alright with you?
Ah, laddie, I don't care about his hair, but I think my daughter would mind. I can see her nodding, and she shouldn't nod, because I throw the hammer at her.
Now, Blackie, will you be treating him any differently when he comes into the shop?
Well, I don't think I can hold back my giggles, but, he's a valued customer, so I can't make fun of him. I mean, even though he doesn't say a damn thing, I think it'd be pretty tough time to offend the laddie, but I try to be as professional as I can, but who knows?
Now, Blackie, has he been asking for any sort of different equipment or any sort of different color variations, or is it only just the hair that's been changed?
Well, laddie. He's asking for this, basically pulling out his own hair and tying it around his sword. It's a weird thing, but I've had weirdo requests. There's this one fella comes down south that basically wanted to put hair of his. Oh well, I better not talk about that. That's kind of not cool.
Now, Blackie, has Dogi been reached for comment, and what is the status of his hair?
Well, even more daft, laddie. He's followed suit. He's very sad that his friend has changed it to blonde. So in regular fashion, he's changed his hair to purple. And I would say this now: if it got a choice between having Adol with blonde hair and having Dogi with purple, Adol, make that as yellow as you can.
And Blackie, what about Gash? Have you heard anything from him, or is he kind of off the radar as well?
Well, I heard he's off the radar. He's also off his nutter because the laddie shaved all his hair. He is completely bald, shiny as the day he came out of his mother's womb.
Well, thank you very much, Blackie, for that status update. We're sorry to keep you troubled today. Please do go about the rest of your day and enjoy making more weapons.
I will, laddie. Thank you.
Thank you, Blackie.
So there you have it, a status update over the grapevine. We have the news that Adol Kristen has indeed gone blonde. Thank you for listening. I'm Hook-Handed.
And I'm Bill Ding.
Back to a regular scheduled program. So yeah.
Opinions.
Opinions.
Let's stop opinions there.
So, yeah, I guess, would it be your
I don't know
turn?
whose turn it is now.
Sushi?
I really don't. It's kind of, yeah, it's
we
been all
throw
over
out
the place.
We
Do you still have a
take
bunch, Taylor?
I have a few that more are actually, there's a couple about games themselves, and then a couple that are not specifically games themselves.
All right, I only have a few left. Greg, did you have some?
Not particularly, because I kind of...
Okay.
He blew his load.
Ooh.
Yeah, prematurely.
I guess this is one that it's been around for a while, but I think it's been more so as of late, and that is with specifically in RPGs where you have lame, weak final bosses, but then you have like the super hard secret bosses. That I don't like that, especially when they're like secret bosses that have absolutely no relevance to anything in the story. It's just like, oh, this asshole's hiding in a cave and he's super strong, you know. And you just
biding his time for some
he's waiting for some other asshole
foolish adventurer to
instead of making his own kind of
just twiddling his thumbs. I wish
warpath.
someone would show up so I could destroy them.
Yeah.
I don't have any real objective or motive. Just
Or any
I'm
sort
here
of-
to look menacing and to scare the player.
in his cave by himself.
like something, for example, you mentioned before, like in Final Fantasy VII, you had Ruby, an Emerald weapon. That was pretty cool because you could just tell them to piss off and never even deal with them. But like, I don't know, just sometimes it's just like, really, why?
They still like to do it where you do fight the final boss and then they still have like, oh, but sorry, there still is another boss. And that's never gone over well with me either. Just Blue Dragon, I'm sorry, I hope it doesn't spoil it, but there's something happens in Blue Dragon that basically happens and you're just like, that is really stupid. Like nothing happens the whole time and then suddenly it's like, oh, hey, look at this. And it's like, okay, come on, that was just dumb. Like it was totally unnecessary.
The age-old example, of course, is Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
It just Necron just comes in, and I always said it was rendered and loss. Oh man, and there were hardcore fans that do kind of try to make piece it together, and I'm like, you can't.
Yeah, that's more of a surprise final boss kind of thing. I mean, more so you have a rather incredibly lame final boss, and then you have some sort of insane. For example, take like Final Fantasy VI. Kefka is a joke of a final boss. He is a pushover. Everything else, like there are other things in the game that you could do that are a lot more difficult. That fucking magical tower, that thing is such a pain in the ass. I think you can only use magic or something like that. I want to say I don't quite remember. It's been close to 7 years since I've done it, but like that's much more of a pain in the ass. You have like the just I don't know. There's just I don't like it when at least make the final boss challenging to some degree. And when you have it where it's just a really big pushover, it's kind of embarrassing.
If you're not resurrecting someone, you're doing you're doing something wrong.
Right. If you don't die a couple times, or or at least having some issues with it, then the final boss is a bit of a disappointment. I feel like there should be at least some sort of challenge to it, and I don't mean in the sense of stamina challenge where you're playing the game for like 8 hours and trying to kill a fight.
Yep, that's Ark the Lad too.
I don't mean that. I mean more so just like, oh Jesus, this is oh god, this is
tough.
This is tough. This is tough. Not just snore easy.
Right.
So that was one thing. I don't know. I guess another one. I'll do two here.
Sure.
Another one is that's part of games that kind of irks me a little bit, but in the same hand, I understand it's a little bit difficult, and Greg will chime in definitely here. Is endings in games overall could have a little bit more thought put into them, because not just even cough some of the Falcom games that Greg is going to mention here, but like, just in general, like a lot of the games that I've beaten. Endings seem very just kind of
abrupt.
Abrupt doesn't bother me. It just seems very ho-hum. Like, for example, Lufia 2's ending, fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Excellent ending. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be some sort of amazing, like, holy crap, crazy shit going on all the time. Look at Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX's a really good ending, I think. And, you can make them really long, like Final Fantasy IX's, or you can make them pretty short. Like, for the most part, Lufia 2's is pretty short. It's not that lengthy, I don't say. But it's just... I wish they would take more effort into wrapping it up. And I think part of the issue with that is because they always want to put sequels to it. So they try to keep it this nebulous little thing and kind of pussyfoot around having some sort of absolution to it. And they're just kind of like, okay,
see you next time.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Playing, kind of thing. But, I don't know. The endings in games, I think, overall, in a lot of the genres, they could put a little bit more effort in.
Yeah, it's something that I've never really focused on, but pre this era, because all the endings are pretty standard, and I'm happy with them. It's just recently, a lot of games has just been like, wow, they couldn't have gotten that game out the door as fast as they could. Or they don't spend enough time and effort, I won't mention some of the Falcom games, One I won't mention because ultimate judgment will come to when I played it in English.
It's better than what you're thinking.
But East 7, I always said to myself that game is so much fun. I enjoyed playing it, but I thought the ending could have been done a little bit better. But then obviously you haven't been Open Folgana, because that has...
Folgana, the ending was... terrible. Like all of them, just like what? The end, and it's like, yeah, thanks.
No, Open Folgana has the perfect ending, because you get to go to everyone before you leave,
and then
you talk to everyone, you get to say their goodbyes, and then you go sail off into the sunset. I'm just like, it's perfect. It's so sweet and harmonious. I love it. Whereas E7, devoid of. We could get into that in another time.
I was saying another one of the East games, East 2, I think, even though as much as I bagged that game, I think East 2 has a pretty good ending.
It has a really good ending. I love East 2's ending. But something just very quickly, Suikoden and Fire Emblem actually share the same sort of ending trait. They actually have the one part where they actually hold up sort of these little boxes of all the characters that's a part of the party. And it gives them this little blurb of what happened to them afterwards.
Yeah,
it's
so depressing when they're dead, though, because you're just like
died at the battle of.
It's just like, oh no, and that's why I was like, whenever playing Fire Emblem games, vow to try to keep everybody alive, because it's just like they have nothing. They're dead. Goodbye. Fuck you.
But I really like that too. Because trying to do endings for 108 characters, that's never going to happen. So they have that short sequence where they tell everyone what's happened. It's like, that's very sweet. And very cool how they end everything. But it just seems to me a lot of people just they don't take the time to sort of wrap it up as much as they give attention to the rest of the game. And oh man, it's with most games in the HD era. I'm trying to think of one HD game where the ending was like super memorable. You know, I would say Yakuza had some really good endings.
Lords of Shadow was pretty good after the credits.
Well,
it doesn't make sense, but it's interesting.
Until you play the DLC.
Sure, I've heard the DLC is bad, aside from just what you said, but it's the ending was interesting. It looked like they could have pushed something really interesting out of that.
You seem to really like Metal Gear Solid 4's ending.
Yes, I seem to be the only person that really loves Metal Gear Solid 4's ending. It's so emotional.
It's all right, except I had to go to the bathroom during it, and it's like an 8-hour ending, so it's like, come on.
Right.
Can't pause.
I definitely say if you want to actually just pinpoint the one series that is really good ending is Metal Gear Solid. Kojima takes the time to basically create a great conclusion, and with every game, because Metal Gear Solid 1's ending was great. 2's was great, but it really left a lot of people friggin' dazed and confused. Three
did that. Metal Gear Solid 2.
Threes was emotional as well, and then 4 was as well. 4 was a great ending. I don't think they could have wrapped up Solid Snake's saga any better than what they did. So it was perfect. So I would have to say, yeah, Metal Gear Solid in the HD generation was probably one of the great examples of an ending done right. But other than that, I'm just struggling. Well, Xenoblades was a great ending as well.
Xenoblades and I don't quite remember it being too kind of sticking out doing anything like, oh man, this is awesome. There was something in it that you just kind of like, oh, wasn't expecting that, but it wasn't.
There is one part of the ending I really liked, but I can't say anything because it'd be a massive spoiler. So yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple there. Sushi, did you have a couple others to add to it?
Oh yeah, Greg. So one other ending I would match with your Fire Emblem there is Skies of Arcadia. They had that sort of tag at the end, like, oh, and here's what happened to this guy and this guy and this guy. They have that in there too, and that's a nice ending. I don't know. There's lots of endings that stink. There's lots of ones that are good. It also depends on the actual overall experience of the game. I'm sorry. I know I like the E series in pretty much every way. I think all the endings are just boring. They don't really resolve anything because it is chronicling multiple chapters, right? So at the same point, I'm like, well, I don't really expect a conclusion here. I think Oath and Felgana, the ending was boring. It's just like he gets on a ship and he's going to arrive on a ship in another town again. That's just what happens.
Oh, it's emotional. Just Elena on the shore. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
I feel bad because we're kind of spoiling the ending of Oath and Felgana for the listeners.
Jesus, Greg.
Actually, sketch that out of your mind, listeners, and go play the game. But I think it's the one that stands out. Origin had a good ending. The Pishtum, it was kind of a tiny bit lackluster. It wasn't terrible, but it was probably on the lower scale. I really liked 2's. I wouldn't say 1 had an ending. It kind of had an intermission.
One was like, hold on. Finish this up later.
Which is really good if you're playing one of the compilation packs of 1 and 2, but if you were playing 1, that was a very long intermission.
Yeah.
So no, I sort of can understand, but at the same time with me and how I love the E series, it's good. But it's because of how I love the E series they actually brought up problems with the latest entries. So yeah. Because they are kind of changing up the formula just a tiny bit,
Oh, goodness. But I think part of the reason why that might be in this kind of yanking at another one is that I understand why they don't spend as much time with endings or thinking about endings, and that's because a lot of people don't seem to finish games. And yeah, part of the reason why I think that the endings don't really have much for them is because it feels like a lot of people don't finish the game.
That's true.
I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree there, but it feels like a majority of people, particularly when it comes to like RPGs and stuff, they don't seem to beat the games. They enjoy them and they play and spend tons of hours playing them, but they don't seem to beat it. So,
I thought you were kind of referring to the time frame that developers have, but I think it's on a case-to-case basis. I mean, look at Versus 13. The ending better be damn good in that game.
The ending already happened because it's never coming out. Sushi, is there anything else you want to add, or?
Just a couple things, I guess.
Okay.
They're negative ones, unfortunately. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Launch day parties, stupid. Like just stupid to me. Launching for midnight release and stuff for a game, I just think it's dumb.
There's one word I have to say about that: favoritism. Man,
I just don't like it. It's just like midnight movie releases. I don't see the point. I just don't. I don't see the point of like skipping a whole day's work or something to go line up for a video game. It's silly to me. It really is. Video games still get blamed a lot for a lot of societal problems.
Yes, that's a good one.
That's been annoying for a long time now. Just it kind of went away for a bit, and now there's been a lot of shootings again, and it could be attributed to that for sure, but you can't attribute it to one thing, of course. But it's the easy thing to blame.
It's a waste of taxpayers' dollars to get those experts to basically come out, the psychologists to basically have their, well, hey, it's good for them. They're getting paid for their time, basically.
They love it.
But the taxpayers, the gamers already know this. They know it's a base-to-base situation. It's not the game's fault. It's the player,
Right.
And you can't pigeonhole games because books and movies do it as well. Any kind of sort of psychological
by anything. It's just but you're playing the game, and just like, yeah, that is very true. That is very true. But somebody could be playing paintball. Like, it's just, somebody could be taking a martial art and they go crazy and hurt people. It's just like anything. I don't know. But it's not to say that games couldn't be blamed. There is some correlation to it as well. It's not like, oh, they're innocent, they didn't do anything wrong. That's not true either, right? But I think that's part of the thing is most gamers don't believe that. They're like, no, it's not at all the game's fault. It's like, no, it is got to be part of the game's fault. If it's an addicting game or something, that's part of the problem. It's not just...
they band together and it's attack on our culture, our way of life,
right. For sure.
That's why they do that. But all the normal gamers, they associate what's fantasy from reality. They know where to keep both in check,
Mm-hmm. The average person does for whatever they do outside of their regular life or whatever. Nickel and diming is annoying. It's been happening for some time now, whether it's DLC or what have you. It's pretty annoying. I don't think we need to get into that too much. And my final one is, of course, gamers treating other gamers poorly. And by that, I mean, as you brought up earlier, Taylor, assholes buying up 55 copies of Ni no Kuni Special Edition and then selling them online for $10,000. And I just can't understand it. I really don't. I hope people in the community don't attack our show over this, but I don't understand the fact that when people buy something, they buy a copy for themselves, they buy a copy to keep sealed, then they go and sell it to somebody who has the same feelings about that game where they're like, man, I just want to play it. I have this affinity to that game. I played it as a kid. And they had the same thing. And then they're like, well, I have an extra copy, but, eBay's selling them for $400. So even though I know you want this game and you're a gamer, $350 for you, a little special discount. Like, I can't understand it.
Solid for that.
That's a solid, all right. It's a solid punch in the neck. It's just, I don't understand it, right? Like, I do in a way, but I don't like that fact because those people all often complain themselves. Oh, I had to buy this game online and it was so expensive. And then they just turn around and do the same thing, right? It's just, I can't deal with it. I don't like it. I don't like this gouging of each other. Like, we're all, in this brother and sisterhood of gaming, but if I can make money off of you, I will. And it's really frustrating. And I kind of avoid it as much as possible. Like all of my games have never even sold. And yeah, of course, if I can get some money for it, that's one thing. But at the same time, I would at least try to put a reasonable price tag on it, what I think is a fair price.
Yeah.
But nobody does that, right? They're just like, well, I've got 2 copies. In 10 years' time, this is going to be worth so much money. I don't get it.
Cough, cough, people who buy the game and immediately get it graded. Oh goodness.
Seriously, what did
You
it
know, in a
become?
vault.
Become Antique Roadshow. I don't get my games graded. It's sort of what
Mm.
I think it's good. My experiences
Game,
of how I
man.
got it. Yeah, it's a
This whole
it's a
grading
game.
that like it goes like not even just games, but with certain things. It's just like why
Lots
this
of things.
there's
Lots of things. But this culture is so accepted. It shouldn't be. People don't say they accept it, but they do because they buy the stuff. It's like comic books are kind of like that, but comic books have been doing that for a very long time. And comic books are a little bit different in just how the approach is done. Comics are kind of like antiques in a sense, some of them, right?
The
Games could get there. They could eventually, but
they have in some capacity. Won't name names, but a certain prominent website and some very famous sort of games, um, reviewers, I should say. They actually refer to copies of Super Mario Brothers like mint in box 1985. I'm like, they're comparing it to fucking wine now? Oh my god.
yeah, geez.
oh
You know,
that
I was just
hurts.
like, holy shit. This is not a NES 001.
Uh,
Zing.
Uh,
yeah, it just seems like it's no respect for the culture of gaming, right? There's no respect it's almost like no respect among thieves. It's cutthroat, it's bloodthirsty. People see dollar signs. They're just like, they know how they feel about it, and they're just like, I'm going to turn around and do the same thing because I know I can make a buck.
yeah, and of course everybody's not like that. You definitely have some people that
Sure,
are willing
but
to just be like, "Hey, dude, I heard you like this kind of game. Here's a game similar to it. Check it out." And they might even just send it to them, and that's
that
really
happens.
cool
It does.
too.
Mhm.
So
It does. But you also see Boxing Day, people walking in and buying 55 copies of a game, and then somebody wanted to buy that as well, right? They're going straight on
Yeah.
eBay or whatever, and it's just like, oh man.
Think about it. Be considerate and think about others, That's the main thing.
I mean, this doesn't happen in Japan, as Taylor, I've gone to a book off and stuff. You see tons of used games for like $1
mhm.
because people don't think like that. I don't know. I don't want to blame a certain society or this society's better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, especially with like the used game stores and stuff. They're not. If they are priced really high, it is because they're rare. It's not
Right. They're actually
Yeah.
rare. It's
right.
not just,
Yeah.
oh, there's 25,000 copies of this game, but I know you can only get one on eBay today or something.
Right. Yeah. So
You shake your head at it, right? Like
it's
there's a handful
depressing.
of games. Yeah, it is. There's a handful of games I would love to try, and I just given up on them because I can't get a reasonable price on them.
And it harkens back to what I said about digital. It's one of the saving graces that they will take certain games and make them available.
Sure. And that's true, but there are some games that I have bought digital, and I would love to just get the physical copy of as well if I could get it for a reasonable price. But there's also games that you just won't probably ever see on digital.
Mm-hmm.
Bayou Billy will not be on digital.
Oh, yeah. Terrible name.
Bayou Billy is only available on the NES and through achieved means on the internet. But otherwise, you cannot, play Bayou Billy. You can't download it on any service. So. That's the feeling I get when I'm like, Bayou Billy complete in box, $852. I don't want to get too much more of a rant. That's enough of that. But
I have a
I mean, what do you guys think? Like,
great, go.
Well, it depends on if you're willing to pay for it or not. You should never feel pressure that you have to buy something because it's video games. Just get what you want, and if you think it's a fair price, you're your best judge. Basically anyone can determine whether this game, if they do the research or if they have their gut feeling. I don't buy everything at full price. I don't think nobody does these days. They got to buy it for what they think it's worth. Yeah, but I'm the same agreement, Just I will say this now, the whole the gaming scalpel thing over Neo Kuni was just disgusting. It's just people making money off a bad situation. I mean, that whole thing, what happened to people that went through the hoops to get their game officially and normally, and they basically got punched in the face by that digital media
Right. Right.
company. It's sad. I heard some horror stories outside of that. Just just terrible. It actually kind of put a bad taste in my mouth over getting the Wizards edition. It's at that point I'm like, I'm happy that I have the game. And just the game.
Yeah, as much as I rail on it, it also, if people are willing to pay for it, and this, yeah, I know we're kind of going to disagree with this, but it is taking advantage of people who are desperate and willing to play it, but people have to have some sort of like
Filter.
willpower
Control.
and control. Yeah, they have to look at that, and Wizards Edition, $600. They have to look at that and try not to. They shouldn't convince them. Oh, at least I'll get it. They have to be like, that is outrageous, and I am not willing to spend that much for something that people were paying. What did they initially pay for? Like 115 for all
Something
of that?
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking at nearly
Still a lot.
6%. Well, it's more 5% increase of a markup because some asshole company has or whatever, just whatever it is, had bought all these copies of it and were selling them on eBay.
Mhm.
You got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, really, that is excessive. So,
Yeah.
on one hand, yes, the scalping is a bit bullshit, but if they can find people to buy it, then they're gonna keep finding people to buy it. But
Yeah.
people
I
also
don't
have
disagree
to
with
have
that.
willpower.
The-
People
the-
need some sort of fucking control to themselves. They can't just be like, oh, I have to have this. I don't sit there and have to have every fucking everything of everything. It's no, I don't. Woo. So,
Earthbound, $1,000 on eBay.
yeah, like shit like that irks the hell out of me. Yeah, whatever. I'm not
That's what I
gonna
mean.
pay.
That I get it. I get what you mean, Taylor, and I agree. Like somebody is gonna buy it. That's the thing, though, is they know people will buy it, and that's
Right.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just have a couple here. Last little bit. Sequels needing to have new, incredible, different like game mechanics. People expecting that. I don't understand why. I don't think it's quite a necessity as some people try to pigeonhole it as. Like if you go from one game to another game, but they don't really change that much, and then like, well, that second game wasn't as good because it didn't seem to bring anything new to the table. I that kind of befuddles me. I don't really see why that's such a sticking point.
Depends on the series. It really is. I don't think it should be the be-all to end-all to want a sequel for. Whereas my taste, I like a long-running series, and I like everything to be in context with the story. That's kind of, the one thing with me. But it depends on what series.
I don't know. There's times where like it doesn't. You don't need to make some sort of wacky new changes to it to be like, oh, this makes it so much better. Something else in here is the microwave society, where oh my god, X game is so awesome, and then 1 to 2 weeks later, meh, that was good, but this Y game is better. Like that, you gotta. I don't like that, but that's just how it is nowadays.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one here I have is more of a fault with myself, and that's I'm pretty old manish, very stubborn when it comes to playing new games.
Games in my day didn't have this.
Well, no, not like that. No. It's more of I don't like being recommended games to play because once that moment hits when somebody's recommending me something, they're starting to alter my perception of how the game's going to be.
Yeah.
And so I don't like to hear about a game from other people and be told to play it because they are trying to push their emotions from their enjoyment out of it onto me to have the same effect, and that doesn't work usually. Usually it doesn't. ever work. So, and then I just don't go around ever to getting around to playing it. So.
Fear of the unknown.
It's not that. It's more of it's not fear of the unknown. It's just
fear of the future.
No, it's just when people. It's more stubborn than anything. When people.
No, it makes sense though. Whoever recommends for you to play a shitty game, at least in their opinion, not often.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. You get recommended a game, for example. I feel like it makes me have to enjoy it. So it's some sort of pressure that I don't need when I'm trying to play it. I just want to play the game. I don't really like one of my best friends. He always recommends these other games to me and stuff. And there's been about 4 of them that he has constantly recommended to me. Like, you've got to play these sometime, Taylor. And I've really enjoyed them, but like the ones that I have played. But it for a lot of the people who've recommended stuff for me, it doesn't work. I don't know. Most of the time it doesn't work for me, and so I'm very leery about people's recommendations for games.
Yeah, I never hold people to that pedestal that you have to like it as well. No, I'm not like that. I just, if they've got the time, if they've got an interest, then yeah, it's up to them.
No, that's me personally. That's why I say it's a fault with me more than anything else. So
yeah,
I figured I would put myself into the list of things there that is wrong with gaming, and myself being one of them. But
I have one more I just thought up on the fly, and it's something that I've kind of taken an interest with lately, and I don't know if it's even good or bad. It's something that I want to share with you guys. I want to hear your opinions. Is in the 90s, there was this great era that there was a lot of consoles, so it wasn't just, the Sega and Nintendo, you had Atari, you had the Jaguar, and you had this, and you had that. And there's a lot of like little niche consoles and handhelds. And I have this feeling that we're going to get another one of those generations. And it's all thanks to the homebrew community. And coming to YouTube, I see a lot of homebrew handhelds and consoles. And what do you think about this? Do you think it's good to have this choice, or do you think it's going to lead to another sort of, random place where, I don't know about it, like everyone's getting the Neo Geo X and everything, Is it good to have the choice, or do you reckon it takes away from the main stay,
I don't know. It just if people want to, it gives a new opportunity for new people who didn't have the chance to play those games. Fine. I personally have no real interest in it. Personally, I mean, that's why I like the downloadable stuff that works just fine for me. So I don't like those kind of handhelds and homebrew stuff. Homebrew stuff doesn't really interest me, and I don't know. It just doesn't for whatever reason. I just don't have the time to look into it or anything like that.
I think the main two I'm sort of referring to is the Steam Box and the Ouya. Ouya is like one of the, everyone's accolade being the console, funded by gamers for gamers, rah, rah, rah. And then you've got Steam Box, which is essentially a little mini computer that just accesses the Steam account, and you can play it on your TV.
Yeah, I have no interest in either one of those. It is a void of nothing to me.
It's just like, if you would have talked about this like 10 years ago in the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, there wasn't really anything on the sidelines. It was mainly those 3 consoles. But now, heading into this generation, every man, every dog wants to enter the console market.
Hey, the N-Gage.
The
Gizmondo.
The Gizmondo.
Oh, gracious. And even back then with the N-Gage stuff, I had no interest in that kind of thing either.
Oh, my friend was totally in the N-Gage. He owns almost every game for it. It's actually kind of awesome that he owns almost every game for it.
I only have Sonic for it, but I want to get Xanadu next for my Falcon Shrine.
Actually, I have one N-Gage game too. I can't track down the system though now. They're really hard to come by. I have Pocket Kingdom.
Oh yeah, by Sega. Yeah. I remember that because when I was going through that, I need to collect as much upsies as possible. It's like even the N-Gage and Pocket Kingdom always comes up.
There's some good games for it though. My friend bought it. I think he had both models. I think he bought the original model and he was able to trade it in for the QD. And I remember I was buying him some games. They're like $5. They were fire sailing all of them. I was like, well, he's collecting them. I'll pick up, a handful of them. They're pretty fun games. A lot of them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, and yeah, that's not the same. I would say it's not different in Australia. I have not seen an N-Gage for a very long time, but I'm starting
Yeah,
to see N-Gage games pop up.
sure.
So yeah, it's
It's
the
a hard
same
one to
thing.
find now.
So yeah, that is our long discussion about things that we find or have issues with, and things that we actually enjoy about the gaming industry and with companies, gamers themselves, and whatnot. So if you definitely have things that you agree with, disagree with, or something we totally missed and didn't bring up, definitely let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
So yeah,
Constructively.
constructively. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you flame,
You guys suck.
yeah, that.
And if you say you guys suck, then you obviously haven't been listening to what we said.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna do
Oh,
that, whatever. I don't.
It happens. So,
How about this? I do not have the brain cells to think creatively, so let us do a game.
wait, now we're doing a game today?
Yeah, change it. Flip the script. Do not have the brain cells to think to think of anything creatively.
Is the game going to be any easier?
No, but at least I'll get out early. And
Come on.
what do you mean?
Come on.
Come on, I don't have any. I seriously no. I wanted to think about the stuff, and I didn't get really the chance to think about it because I got caught up in doing stuff for work prep. So yeah.
No, I'm saying, come on, like, don't sell yourself short for the game.
Well, I don't have anything and like anything prepped in the sense of random choosing
For the game?
for either.
I mean, I can open the game and Greg can choose a number. We can do that, or you can choose a number or whatever.
Okay, Greg, you can choose a number.
I shall.
Because I'm sleepy. Good night.
Give me seconds here.
Okay, so what is it? 1 to
Probably 1 to 26 ish.
Okay.
No, it might be a little bit more. I think
Mm,
we have not touched the games in a while.
yeah,
I
so.
shall pick.
Yeah, I don't know how updated this is, so we'll find out.
9.
Number
This is
9.
This is
9.
German for no.
No.
So, Greg, what did you say?
Said no.
9.
No or
9.
9?
9 is no in German. Sushi, Jesus.
9.
I'm not as cultured as you.
right.
9 would be. No, you guys are going to destroy me here. Zelda tools.
I'm a Zelda.
Is a tool.
Zelda tools,
Okay.
or well, items, whatever.
Who's starting us off?
I'll start off.
Sure.
My favorite one, the hook shot.
Shovel.
The Orcarina,
The slingshot.
Boomerang.
the ladder,
The raft.
forgot about that one.
Fairy.
The what?
Fairy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The bottle, magic bottle.
The bug net.
What was that?
The bug net.
Oh, okay, bug net. Okay, bomb.
Bow and arrow.
Bomb chew.
That's a bomb.
Oh, no, there's bomb and bomb chew.
Bomb.
Wait, can he hold the bomb chew in his item list though?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. If he can hold it in his item list, like if you bring up the window and that comes up as something you can choose.
Because I say this now, if you can't say bomb chew, then Sushi can't say flame arrow or light arrow.
I only said bow and arrow.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
you
putting it
should
in
be
context.
able to say
No, I'm putting it in context.
You shouldn't be able to say that though. It's a bow and arrow. You shouldn't be able to say flame arrow and no.
Flame.
Well, bombs and bomb chews are different.
I'm
It's
not
the same. It's the same thing.
Fucking bomb.
Bombs and bomb chews take a different space, so they're different. Okay, I'll do something different. I'll do something different then. Lens of truth.
Because you'd have the flame and light arrow. No, that's too silly. Thank you, lens of truth. Okay, we'll go. Okay, all right. Fire wand.
Oh yeah, the fire wand. I mean, would the Master Sword count or no?
What was the? I thought we were going with things that weren't the weapon. Well, I'd count it because it is technically an item.
Well, bombs are weapons.
I said bomb already. I said bomb already.
No. I'm sorry, I'm sort of reference to you. You said items that are not weapons, and then just
Well,
like
no,
you just
I
said
meant
bombs.
in the sense of accessories. I told you, I'm not.
Okay, I can change the Master Sword then if you don't want it. The Power
I
Glove.
was fine with the Master Sword.
Okay, well, it could be arguably that it's not an item you choose, so a Power Glove.
All right.
Who's next? Is it Taylor?
That would be you, sir.
Oh, it is. Okay, Iron Boots.
Okay. The Magic
that.
Cape.
Oh, good one.
The Magic Cape, is that from Link to the Past?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the Magic Cape. You said that one.
5.
I mean, the shield. Well, no, Link's Awakening. The shield is something you equip.
I know.
So.
I know.
Would you count the tunics as a tool? Well,
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Well, it sort of is because the different effects.
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
So yeah.
Especially
Zora. I'll say.
Or Green
Zora
of Time. Or Green of Time, you have to
Just
change.
use the tunics. Just say the tunics.
Yeah, the tunics.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Rock's Feather.
Oh, nice one.
That's the one that jumps, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Let's
the
see,
first time Link could jump aside from 2, right?
Right.
The first time top down that you could jump.
Jump.
Right. No, I'm starting to run out. I don't play enough Zelda anymore. I can't think of the name of the magic bottle from Minish Cap that can suck in air.
Oh shit! What was
Did
that?
you didn't play that one, right, Taylor?
No, I hadn't.
I've been that. I forget the name.
I mean,
but
would you count it, Greg?
I would-
I don't know the name.
But I know what you're referring to.
Oh, yeah,
is
he
it the
knows what
Gus?
you're
Is it the Gus bottle or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, over to me. Deku stick.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
The whistle.
Nice. Zora's flippers.
Oh, okay.
Would it be cheating if we went through the masks from Majora's Mask because they're all
Oh,
tools?
isn't there like 50 of them or something?
When they
Yeah.
just say masks.
Yeah, just say the masks.
Yeah, isn't there a lot of them?
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it! Now I've totally forgot the one I was gonna say. Piece of the Triforce. It in one. You get piece of the
Not
Triforce.
arguing. I'm laughing. Jeez,
Did
defensive. Mr.
you know,
Defensive.
I was actually going to bring that up, but I thought I'd get chastised for it, but I was like,
I didn't say anything.
Snickering.
I laughed. A snicker would be.
Sushi, go before. Quit stalling for time.
Yeah, that's it. The pearl crystal ball from Link to the Past. There.
Right. Pearl necklace. Is that what you're?
Close enough.
Was that what you were referring to?
No, in Link to the Past, he gets the crystal ball so he can go into the dark world.
Well, I thought it was like I guess it's just.
No, I think it's just a big pearl. I'm pretty sure.
fishing rod.
Oh yeah, jeez, that's it.
I don't know. Oh, is it a harp from Oracle of Seasons?
Yeah, I think it's a harp. Yeah,
Yeah, this harp of seasons or something like that.
something like that. Yeah. Again, I don't know the full name, but the hammer from Link to the Past.
Oh, okay.
Name escapes me.
Well, I think it's just magic hammer.
The Wind Waker from The Wind Waker.
Is that the boat itself?
No, that's the wand he uses to conduct the music. Yeah.
Okay.
The mechanized scarab. The scarab. There we go. The scarab is the thing from the latest one. What's Twilight?
The Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword. Yeah, you guide the scarab that flies.
Oh,
It's
I've seen that thing.
Kind of
Okay.
like an RC.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. The magic dust. Powder, sorry.
Right,
Magic
well, yeah.
powder. Sorry, there was a silence, like as in.
Well, no, it's, yeah.
there's in Skyward Sword, there's a whip that you actually use to whip onto, and do swing from swing to swing, and you grab stuff off enemies. So,
Okay.
because I was going to struggle for Skyward Sword because I just draw a blank, even though it was the last Zelda game I played. I just was like zip, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I haven't played a Zelda game since I beat Skyward Sword.
So, yeah.
No, that wouldn't count. The claws wouldn't count, would they?
Which one?
The claws.
Which claws?
You get claws in Twilight Princess.
He gets claws in.
And
No, he gets claws in Minish Cap as well. I'll accept that.
Yeah, I'll accept
He
that
gets like
too.
digging claws.
oh, okay. Well,
I don't know the name again, but I'll definitely accept it.
Okay. The claws.
The Klaus. Klaus!
Klaus.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
The blue ring?
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I don't want to tap out. Just trying to think. Was there an accent? There was because I'm kind of going off left field and thinking about Adventures of Link. There wasn't so much, mainstay items he uses all the time, but he uses once.
He had a
Was
lot
that-
more magic in that.
Was there no? But there was like a hammer or an axe that you need to find in a cave, and yeah, because it's
a long time.
It's cryptic to me because it's not items. As you said before, it's mainly spells, but there is
Right.
some items in Adventures of Link.
I don't remember.
I
remember
really don't
trophies
remember that
and,
game.
like those statues that you had to get, but I don't remember any axes.
Oh, it was in like the cave.
Mm.
Which one?
You did need a torch though for Adventures of Link. So
Well, are you sure it's not a statue? Because there's a statue that kind of looks sort of like an axe with its wings and stuff.
is there a torch? I don't know. That might have been a spell as well for Adventures of Link. That,
Maybe,
you
yeah.
made.
I'm drawing a total blank on that game.
Let's see. What was that? What was that thing that changed the course of time? I'm really just starting drawing. I know what I'm thinking about, but I can't put a name to it because there's that one thing in Skyward Sword, that one area that you could change the flow of time. That might have been something in the stage more than something that in your inventory. So
thought those were like in the stage itself.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in the stage because I thought there might be an item that was associated with it. So I'm sort of kind of tapped out, which is kind of sad, being a huge Zelda fan.
That's
Oh, no! There's the crane from Link to the Past. The one with
Rain?
the crane. There was it's not a wand, but it was the crane, like the wooden crane, and it was a magical one.
Wooden
Was it-
crane.
Yeah, you can look that. You can definitely look that up. It is it was associated with the blocks. You make the blocks appear.
It's a wand.
No, it was a fire one. No, hold on.
Are you talking about
yeah.
Are you talking about the cane that makes red blocks?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
I
cane.
kept hearing crane.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard
crane.
crane. I heard crane too. I was
I'm
like,
pretty sure he
Cane.
doesn't roll up in like a
the
back
origami,
row and
no,
he's just like, "Grr."
cane. No, yeah, the cane.
all right, the canes. Heart piece.
The blue candle.
Because we've mentioned empty bottle, does that mean any contents inside? So if I said red potion,
I'm gonna say those don't count.
okay.
What do you think, Taylor?
I'm gonna say no because it goes kind of in the mask, and
Mm-hmm.
That's there's the I wouldn't say that the King of Red Sea from Wind Waker would be an item, and none of his attachments like the cannon and all that. Would you say the maps, or because you find map pieces, or
That's
yeah?
a tough one. I don't know. What do you think, Taylor?
you're
That's,
calling that one.
I don't know how to.
I have one. I said the Zora scales. That's it.
Is that part of the flippers though? Would you?
No,
Is
the
that
scales.
I
No,
know they're
They're
different.
different,
they're
but
different,
same function.
Because then you could
but
kind
they're
of
not the flippers.
all right, then I will add the
No,
power bracelet.
that's the same function, sure. So if you're going to do that, then I guess you got to accept the other. Pegasus boots.
As much as I wouldn't accept, because I said hook shot, so try shot wouldn't have count. Yeah. So, what else? Oh, what is that thing? In Wind Waker, you can fall from great heights and you call it the parachute. Yeah.
Rupee satchel.
Which one?
The rupee satchel. Increase your rupees.
Wasn't that a wallet too or something?
Or wallet.
Yeah.
Something
No,
like that.
it differs from game to game.
Oh, okay. The lantern.
I think.
No, he said candle before. So.
Yeah, it's on the same field. Here's a weird one that we'll have to check on this one. Beatles membership card, because you have to hold that in the inventory to get the discount.
For what game?
There's a bundle for Wind Waker and Skyward Sword because it both has Beatles shops in both of them.
I do not.
Oh! Trying to make that sound.
Membership card.
Yeah, it's definitely, you have to have it in your inventory after you spend a lot. So.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna tap out. I'm not gonna try to stretch it like some people. Jeez. I'm gonna tap out.
I don't even know
I'm
who
not
you're
gonna spend-
referring to.
Well, I'm not gonna spend like 30 seconds to a minute. Cough, cough.
You talking to me?
Both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't take a minute.
Okay, Greg. I'm gonna point to Greg.
I'm going to point to Greg too because he should have tapped out when he was like, yeah, there was like those switches or something. And
Yeah, and then I thought of something, so it's like game
That's-
continues.
No,
yeah,
no.
Greg lost.
Ah,
I'm going to tap out too because the last Zelda game I played was Ocarina of Time and I hated it. So I have not played a Zelda game in a long time. Well, I guess Minish Cap in there too, but I have not played a Zelda game in a long time. So I
sadness.
actually don't know a lot of the items. I tried to play, was it Phantom Hourglass? Just couldn't get into it.
I will admit to you there. You know, I love Ocarina of Time. I like most Zelda games, but the DS ones I have the hardest time. I mean, you know, I could go on and say, oh, the Phantom Hourglass because that is an item, but I think I'll tap out as well. I think we've all proven our Zelda fondness, so it is.
I think Taylor, I'll give you a high five. Yeah, we win. Greg cheated.
Okay, all right. Put your hands on the table so I can cut them off. I was being nice before.
I can still
but
play games with my feet.
as I've proven that you can play East one-handed, so.
I don't know how you prove that, but
Oh, yeah. You can use your forehead and play E's. Like it's.
goodness. So yeah. So a goofy end to a
Goofy episode.
I don't know about goofy episode, but a good episode. So definitely give us your comments and belittle us for not continuing our Zelda game further. So yeah. So thanks for listening, guys, and have a good day.